cross over in silence.
Hey guys, welcome to the stream. I We're starting really late today. I've had like the stream on for like 30 seconds, 30 minutes before the stream went live. For some reason, I'm unable to stream to Twitter. I was trying to see if I can fix it. That's a strange thing. I've been having issues with my premium subscriptions on Twitter, and for some reason, it has caught up with me today. And I keep reaching out to support, and it's just been ignored. I made it a yearly subscription, and after making a yearly subscription for the entire year, all of a sudden my premium subscription just wasn't activated anymore. And I had to, on emergency situation, because of something like this, I had to quickly make another monthly subscription just to before the premiums reach out to me, before support reached out to me. And apparently we are on that case. And I just spent another $3. Apparently the $3 plan cannot do live streams on Twitter. So I just have to make a really good tweet uh so we can have this on X, bring X people on. So really sad that this is happening. I wish I had noticed this before during the day or something. I'll try to sort it out. Everything I've tried, they've just failed. So yeah, but we're gonna go on regardless. We don't stop. Let me paste the just to bring people up. Uh, let me see the stream on YouTube. Is everything going on well? Okay. Okay. Copy this and paste it inside on Twitter. An experiment. Um, uh, Diving into. Wait, how did I put it here? Okay, yeah. An experiment. A new underclass for Luma. Pumped. Luma is the best platform to host your. Maybe I should show you what I'm doing so you guys can see me. So hopefully you guys can see my screen now. And it kind of makes sense what I'm doing. And then the background needs to be this. Okay. All right. All right. Remind the best platform to social event. Let's see if we can make an MCP server. CP server, so you can create a new event right inside the ID and culture. Not scripted, not solid, just vibes. Hopefully, I'll see you on. Let's get it. Unable to stream to X, so please come over to YouTube. I'm gonna copy over the links to YouTube, and hopefully people would join that. Okay. Yeah, hopefully that does it. And then maybe something on my WhatsApp should help. Uh, I almost ended everything, but we don't give up over here. So let's see. We're gonna have people join. Not, I build it regardless, and they catch up the stream later. I'm just happy that uh, this is gonna be recorded. So yeah. Okay, so I have 0 persons watching right now. For some reason, I can't stream to X, so I don't really know what's going on. I'm just so sad right now that this is happening. Probably need to make another stream like this. But it is what it is. I'm making some tweets here and there to see if we can get more people to join over. And that should help. Okay. So I can't. Let me add this to highlight and we can move on. All right. Everything seems good. Uh, kind of clearing all the stuff I have open so I can focus on why we're here. List event. Okay. All right. So welcome to the stream. Let us build an MCP server for Luma. So I like to start from. I like to draw. Sorry, I have this page open. Let me just create a new project. MCP EP4. No, that should be EP4. EP4, and we can call it like this and say MCP, the Luma MCP. This is a model context for Luma. So the first place we need to start from is to see what makes a model context protocol. Just gonna open that. You can check out the model context protocol documentation. I'm gonna zoom in a bit here. This is the model context protocol documentation, and you can find, if you are joining me, just let me know in the comments so I can know you're here. I'm sad that I can't stream to Twitter for some reason. It's just weird. All right. So The MCP is an open protocol. MCP is an open protocol that standardizes how applications provide context to LLMs. So think of it like USB-C ports. The way you have USB-C port and you can plug it into any 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 mobile phone or device that supports MCP that supports the USB-C, you can use that. So that's how it works. So just as USB-C provides a standardized way to connect your devices to various peripherals and accessories, the MCP provides a standardized way to connect AI models to different data sources and tools. So why doing the MCPs? I think it's just because everybody's building their own integrations, and it'd be nice to standardize the process for people plugging in tools. So everybody needs to write their own way for GitHub to connect to this. Everybody needs to write their own way for this to connect to that. Well, what if you can just write the MCP server once and it connects to the data source, and everybody can just use the protocol to plug it into whatever they're building? So that's how it works. It's quite a number of stuff, but the idea is you're building a single integration so that everybody can also use it in their setup. I've built a couple ones. I can just show you. I built a couple MCP servers. I built a ChatGPT MCP server. I just realized that everything has to be blown up so that you guys can see. I built a ChatGPT MCP server. I have no stars right now, but I have a pool. I have a fork. So I released it just 16 hours ago. So, and I also made the Paystack MCP server. Let me see. Yeah, the Paystack MCP server. And this one is just like 4 days ago. That's when I started writing the code, and I released it, and I have 5 stars. That is interesting. I never saw this. We are 5-star guys. Anyways, we are going to build one for Luma. Let's get right into it. So what do we need to build an MCP server? So that's model context protocol. What do we need to build model context protocol? So I'm just going to go back to the documentation, the model context protocol documentation, and I'm going to go to the section on the quick start section. You're going to find the server developer section. I want to explore the MCP clients dev thing one day, but for now, we're just going to build the server, and we can use that. Okay, so what do we need? We'll be then. Let's just explore what they're saying. So many LLMs do not have the ability to fetch the forecast. And okay, so they are working with the weather server here. So they're building a weather server and plugging it into Claude, but we don't want a weather server. And this is a very useful example in case you wanna. Let me just plug the link in the chat in case anybody later finds it. I'm so sad that I can't stream to Twitter. So sad. Maybe I should set up Twitch, but I never did the setup and configuration. Let me see. Does it have Twitch? Oh, we have Twitch, but nobody stays on Twitch until you go pulling people there. I'll probably just set up everything later after this so that we can have more connections. Anyways, let's continue. So we're going to build a server just like the one I built for Paystack and ChatGPT, and I love to open those projects down somewhere. Sorry, this is like okay. I need to blow these up as well so that we can see them. I can call this yeah, let me just open the Paystack MCP server so that you guys can see it, and that can work. No, this is it. The Paystack MCP server. Yes. So an MCP server just contains, there are different things you can have an MCP server. I think that's even a good place to start. So you can have, like, because you're exposing context can go in different forms. So you can expose tools, and tools are like powerful things. Those are like functions that you can call. For example, you can see this is a particular way to define tools, and this is in TypeScript. Python has like a decorator style where you put decorators on top. But for TypeScript, you just define the functions, and then you make sure you type the parameters so the AI knows when to call them and what parameters to pass to them. There's also prompts. Prompts are like you can create defined prompts directly that an AI can call. So, for example, maybe to accomplish a particular thing, you need to do like 3 steps. The AI can figure it out on its own, but if you provide a prompt, it's easy for even a user to just trigger that themselves, right? And then also there's also resources. Resources are like you providing different things, like you can provide file content, you can provide database records, you can provide like actual information for the LLM to use. And this can be even local things that exist on your PC or wherever they exist. You can just fetch them and provide them to the user. We're not going to do most of this stuff because you need to really figure out, okay, do I really need this stuff? And if you do, you use them. Then also there's sampling. Sampling is a feature that allows you to trigger a user, like the way you have alert box or confirm box. So when you are trying to delete something, you see that sometimes a pop-up will appear and say, do you want to delete this stuff? And then you say, yes, you want to delete. Well, with sampling context, you can make an LLM ask for an input for the user. So when you're triggering something, you can do this human in the loop design where before it does something, you can ask a user to either accept or just provide an impact or feedback before you continue. Then there's roots. Roots allow you to define which part of your project or PC or machine, wherever your MCP server touches, what sections can they operate in. So it's more like giving it like a sandbox area. So you can tell your MCP server to not go beyond desktop. You can tell it not to go beyond the download folder, wherever. Then there's also transport. With transport, you can tell you can define whether you want to have it like a standard input output. That's the STDO, and this is the most common one. This is the one they started with. You can also have it to do like a server side event. And there's also a new one that is a streamable HTTP, and that one it was just recently. I just saw it recently, and it's the latest way to write the MCP server stack. The STDO will only work on your PC because you need to keep like a terminal command line input output stream open for you to receive command. But the server side events and server sent event SSE that's the one you can just get a URL, and it's a very interesting thing to write. I've not experimented with these, but I should probably experiment with them, and then I'll be able to make videos on them or things like that. But right now, I've played around with the other one, so I'm pretty much conversant with how it works, and I'm happy to share that with you guys. So let's go to it. We're going to make tools, and for Luma, that's what we're going to work on. So, okay, let's begin. So the first thing we need to know is, okay, what are we working on? What are we building an MCP server on? So I'm going to open Luma. Luma is one of the best platforms that you can use to create events. These are some events I'm subscribed in, and I can check my calendars. They don't have an home page. The only way to see their home page is if you open like a incognito browser. This is all they have. See all they have. See everything here. This is all the home page. They have nothing to scroll through. But it's fine. I love what they do. And this is my own personal calendar. This is my personal profile. I'll just show you that. And a couple events I'm hosting and I hosted in the past. I can view all, but that's not important. So what we're going to do today is we're going to build an MCP server that we can use to create events and do things with MCP, with Luma, directly inside Claude or wherever platform supports MCP. Give me moments. I need to wear something thick. I'm feeling a little bit. All right, I'm back. I had to wear something thick. It's really cold in my room, and the AC is nice, but sometimes it gets really cold. All right, so let's move on. I was able to find the API endpoint list for Luma, and this is what they provided. And I think it's still it's still active because this was updated like 6 days ago. So let's observe. The first thing to do is to actually look at the API and see what you want to do, and then we can scope that to how we want to work with it. So the Luma API, this is the base URL. These are good things to have. We need to get to use the Luma API, you will need to pay for Luma Plus. Interesting. I did not see this, so this might be tricky. All right, this might be tricky to do. Okay, there's probably no way for us to test this. Oh my god, this is something like what? How did I not see this? How did I not see this? All right, so we can use the API except we are paying for Luma Plus. So this is a tricky one. There is no way for us to build the MCP if we can't call the APIs that they provide. This was another vibe session. I just Luma, let's go, and I kind of jumped on this stream. How do we do this? We can build it. I can demo it, but it's just so sad that we will not be able to test what the MCP looks like. But I can build it and show you how I build it, and then maybe we can just release it like that without testing it. But that would really be a blind. That would be crazy. Anyways, let's go on. We kind of need to pay to access the API, but I can show you the process of building one, and then maybe also show you an example I've done, and then we can just like wrap up the stream from there. So this is very good information to have. This is how they use the time date, the ISO 8601 format for dates. Good. And they have rate limits, which is 300 requests in any 1 minute period across all endpoints. All right. And they have a GitHub repo to show examples. All right, good. I'm so sad that I did not catch that before the stream. So many things have gone wrong today. First, we have Twitter being crazy, and then now we have I'll probably delete the stream. Honestly, I'm thinking of deleting it. So sad. All right, let's go on then. We can. These are the things we have access to. We have the get event. We have the get guests. Can get a guest by their guest API ID, email or proxy key. So once get a particular guest, we can get all the guests, get a list of all the guests who have registered for your event. Can even create an event. We can update an event. We can do a bunch of stuff with events. We can also operate with calendars, and then miscellaneous. Lookup entity. Okay, lookup entity is interesting. I don't know. How does this work? We need to provide API key. Let me see if I'm gonna get an API key. Is that even possible? Is that even possible? This is an interesting stream. Is it possible to get an API key without paying? Let me see the API sections again. Let me log in. I'm very sure they wouldn't give me an API. Okay. Let me see what they sent to me. Okay. Now I have an account. If I refresh this, I should actually be logged in now. Now I can go to my account and you can generate an API key on your Luma dashboard. Okay. So I want to create an API key now. So I doubt if this will work. Oh, yes, I said it. I doubt if this will work. So we kind of need an API key to generate. We kind of need to upgrade to Luma Plus. Is there a test period? No platform fees. I don't think they have test periods. So what do we do? 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 Okay. Maybe we can just walk through building the example server, and then I can click all the string because we need an API key to test it. But kind of the process still stays the same. Whether you're testing, whether you're building one for Luma or you're not building for Luma, the base product flow still stays the same. So yeah, let's just work on building the MCP server and then we can test it out and call it a day. And call it a morning, actually. So I'm going to open the MCP server example again, and then we can walk through this floor. I wish we were able to do that one, but like I said, this is more like experiment. I just saw it. I said, okay, nice, let's do it. Turns out we need to pay to use the API, and there is no trial period, at least to be able to test and build before they wrap it up. So we are just going to build a sample example one, and then we can call it a day. So let's do that. If you come to documentation, you're going to have access to the example project, and we're going to be the exact same thing you're working on here. So we can tweak it a little, see an API we can call. So what we're going to be building is a server that exposes two tools. Like I said, tools are like functions that your LLM or large language model AI can call, and they can use this to get information from outside into their context and flows. So we're going to build two tools: the get alert tool and the get forecast tool. And then we'll connect the server to an MCP host. So an MCP host in this case will be things like Claude for desktop, Cursor, which is an IDE that you can use to write code, and a bunch of stuff. So at the end of the day, we should be able to have something like this, and then we're going to be able to use them. So I will switch to Node because I want to build for Node.js. Yes, and then we can start writing code. Okay, so I'm going to open WAP. I'm going to create a new. Let me just drag this one away from here because we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. I'm just going to drag this one away from here, and then I'm going to call I'm gonna follow the steps here in the process. I'm gonna follow the steps here, and we can use that to learn how to build one. So the first thing to do is to have Node.js installed, Node.js and npm. If you install Node.js, you already have npm installed, so like kind of for each other. Or you can download it from Node.js. So you download Node from here, and once you have it, you have npm. And to test it out, if you run, let's see, if you run something like Node version, once you see a number pop up here, that means you have it installed. If you run npm and you see a number pop up here, that means you're good. So they say we should create a new directory for our project. You can see this, create directory for your project. We're going to run all these commands one after the other. So let's go. The first thing to do is to run the mkdir. So I'm going to call this Willy. I'm going to call this make dir Willy. So we're going to name our own MCP server Willy, or maybe Willy MCP or something. And then we're going to go into Willy. Like I said, see the flow here, see the Willy, and now we're inside Willy. And then we're going to initialize a new project. So let's do that. I'm going to do npm init, initialize a new project. And that will kind of like create a basic project and just accept everything. And then we're going to make, we're going to install a couple of things. I don't want to just type this out, so I'm going to just like scoot this over here so I can have this open here. I'm going to copy all this. I'll copy the first one, install it in our project. Once that is installed, I would then copy the second one and then install it as well. So this one, so I'm going to copy this and install it in our project. And that kind of like sets it up for us. Now we have, so the model context protocol SDK is what we're going to use to write the model context protocol server. And then Zod is for type casing, enforcing the types of the params, enforcing types of the parameters for the LLMs to understand what's going to pass into the function. And then we're going to install the type node. This is just for working with TypeScript, and then also TypeScript itself. Right there, we're going to also like enter into the source folder. But at this point, we can just open this in my IDE so that we can start writing some crazy code. Right? So I'm just gonna open this white somewhere and then make this open like this. So hopefully this is big. And then let me see, this too can make it. I can blow this up as well. Okay. So I don't know how this looks on your end, but if you can see it, good. If you can see it, please let me know. So I have everything. I've done everything in this section. So we just have to do this. So we need to create a new folder, src, and inside the folder we're going to create the index.ts folder. So let's just do it right here. I'm going to open my terminal again. Let me just do this. I'm going to open my terminal again. I'm going to do mkdir src. And I want to add that index.ts inside the src. I'm going to touch src index.ts, and that is going to go inside src and add the index.ts folder. So the next thing from there is to so what we just did is we've done all this step. We installed the model context protocol. What did I just do? Okay, works now. So we've installed the model context for SDK. We've also installed Zod, which is for type casing. I'm going to show you what that means and what that looks like soon. And then we've installed the types, made the developer dependency, and also TypeScript. And then we've also like created these folders and also added this file. So the next thing to do is to update our package.json. So what they're asking us to do is to add the type module and also add this bean there, add this script, and so I'm just going to copy everything inside. So I'm just going to paste it directly in my package.json and not waste any time. So inside package.json, I'm going inside there and let me make this a little bit smaller so that we can see what is going on. So right here, I'm just going to paste this. And you can see some conflicts. For example, type.commonjs is here. I'm going to take this out because I'm overwriting it. And then there's already a script field. So I'm going to take that out and then we're going to save it. And then we're going to replace whatever doesn't look like ours. For example, I'm going to call this the Wheelie MCP demo, the Wheelie MCP. And then I'd probably like to add a description. The Wheelie MCP is a demo. It's demo MCP built for the experiment live stream. So we're gonna have that. So you can customize these things as you go, right? Next is to create a tsconfig.json folder. Just gonna copy this and just go right here and say, just gonna paste this inside the tsconfig.json folder and save it and probably format it so it looks good. So you see, I'm just following the documentation. Like I've kind of I know bunch of these steps, but it's also good to follow documentation when you're doing something for the first time. So now let's get to the part where we're building the server. So the building server stage is first, let me just copy everything here and we're going to add it inside index.ts. I'm going to go to the index.ts and paste this and I'm going to walk through what they do. So what we're doing at the first place is importing the MCP server class from this part of the package. And then we're also importing the stdio, the transport from the part of the package that's from model context protocol package as well. And then we are also importing the Zod from Zod. Like I said, this is for type casing. This is for the actual MCP server thingy. That's what's going to make it work. So I'm not using AI, so I can take this away. Okay, so the next thing to do is to, this is the base. This is the base. We can replace this section with any API that we want to call. So since we don't have Luma anymore, turns out Luma is a paid, you need to be a paid customer to have the Luma API access. I did not see that while I was researching for I did a little bit light research, but I did not see that section of the docs. I just focused on what I wanted to do. All right, so it's good to know. Luma, give me free access give me free credits, please, so I can view this stuff. Well, apparently that's not available now, so we just have to move forward. So let's just look for public APIs. Public APIs. Desi.dev now. Let's just find one of the free public APIs that we can build and use that. So this is a GitHub page, and we can. Oh, okay. This is a public APIs.dev. So hopefully, I believe that we can find public APIs here. So what should we build for? There's several things here. There's an API for cryptocurrency. I think we can do this one. We can do something for this. Yes. We can build a public API for cryptocurrency stuff. Yes. So apparently everything here, if they're actually free, can be an MCP server. So if you want to build one, this is a good place to find where to find things that you can build. So I'm just gonna look for one of these ones. I'm probably gonna rename this stuff to build Coinbase thing or whatever. So let's just decide on one of them. Let's see the YDX. Even though I know we're going to build Luma, sorry, we just changed everything. Luma is doing me bad. We need to, let's see. These are node streaming APIs. No, this is not the kind of APIs we want. Nope, nope, nope. Let's go back. Let's look for another one that we can do. Mm. All right, let's see Novadex. This is not Java I'm seeing. I'm seeing private static, whatever. Looks so Java-ish. All right, so this is okay. You can use the API to access all market data, trading, order history. This is gonna be boring. So let me just do for something simple. Honestly, I want to focus on something that is very easy to get to the point, and then we can get complex from there. So let me just go to something that shows maybe entertainment. Yeah, let's do entertainment. So might be fun. Nah, that's not fun. That's boring. Science and math, maybe. Mm. All right, this will be if we can a URL shortener service. This one might actually be good. Let's do one for Rebandly. If this one works, I think this one might be good. So you make an API request and you can shorten a URL link. Okay. Create a new API key for Rebandly. Let me first check. Is there an MCP server for Rebandly? Zapier will definitely have. Oh, they have an MCP server. It's a recent one. It's created in Go. It generates short URLs using the Rebandly API. Yeah. This is the recent tool. Well, it's fun. We can implement the same thing in with TypeScript, but let's just see if we can find another one. Let's see if there's Bitly. Okay, Bitly is here. Is there dub.sh? Dub.sh MCP. All right, somebody has built this already. So no, not let's not do this one. Let's look for something else. Oh no, let's see. I saw one and might actually not be have pushed anything there. Oh yes, they have. Oh yes. This was when 2 months ago. Okay. Yes, they do have something. So that's a no go area. Let's do something else. So Bradley is gone. Let's try tiny URL. Let's try tiny URL. Everybody has done the simple ones. Let me see. Server.py. Okay. Yeah. They've done it. And this was last week. But we can do one as well. So just for example, let's do one as well. So the first thing to do is go to tinyurl.com and see if we can get an API key. So create free account. I can call this core. I'm gonna put in here. Okay. What do I have access to? The free? Is the API gated in any way? Not really. Oh, so tiny URL API, right? Oh, so I have to verify before I can get access to the API. Good. I think it's free, so we don't mind verifying if it's free. It's when it gets their API, that's when we have problems. Okay, so everything seems to be in order now. I can just trigger this again. Should come correct now. API. Again, probably need to refresh it. Email ID verified. All right, good. API. I can create one. Taking name. Tiny URL. MCP. Can create tiny URL. Can update tiny URL, right? Let's just give it permission to create tiny URL now. And maybe update tiny URL. So I'm just gonna create that. I'm gonna copy it to clipboard and close this. So never show your API key, guys, to anybody. Never do that. But I just did. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. So now that we have this, let's just keep that in our code so that we can track that. I'm just gonna create a .envi. Just call this tiny URL API key. I'm gonna paste this there. Actually, now that we're doing tiny URL, I'm just probably gonna rename everything to tiny URL now. So I can put this to tiny URL. I can change this to probably need to change anything. Let's just see what the API looks like. So let's move on. We are working with tiny URLs now, so we can close every other project and close this to thank you for giving us tiny URL. So we can work with you, tiny URL. This is with Brandly. We don't want that. We don't want them. Yeah, probably just want to keep this two open. And then close Luma. Luma messed up. Thank you, Luma. Bye bye. Yes. Okay. So I just want this to be open, the server developer sections and this. So I can go to Node. So this is where we are. I copied all this stuff. Let's go on to. So I think at this point I can take over what's going on here and just start building the server myself. I thought we were just gonna follow this, but since we have something now. So yeah. Let me just go on and no, I don't want to show you this. Okay. All right. So Now that we have this, we know we are working with TinyURL now. So I'm just going to rename most of the stuff we are working with TinyURL so that we can just, that was a very quick save on our part. And do TinyURL MCP. Well, I'll just rename this to 1, and then we can leave everything as it is now. Maybe this to TinyURL. Yeah, that's it. No, so we're working with TinyURLs now. We can continue. So let's get the base API. Let's get the base API. The base API is, let's get the base API from the documentation. So if we head over to documentation, right now is API, local documentation. All right, so this is the base API. API dot. I'm just gonna copy that. Just gonna copy this, head over here, and paste it here. Nah, I did not copy. I'm gonna copy this, head over here, and paste it. I'm just gonna paste this here. Tiny URL API base, just to so we can reference it later. So it's API.tinyURL API.tinyURL.com. I'll come over here, API.tinyURL.com. I don't think this is important, but we can leave it for now. Okay. So once you do that, you want to have right now we're initializing our capabilities. Nothing is happening there, so we can skip that. I leave it there actually, not to worry about them. So the next thing you want to do is to have a main function, and this main function is what you want to run when the server starts. So you can just write one. I'm just gonna write a simple one that does nothing for now. And all it's gonna do is we're gonna have a try and catch block. Just gonna put this one here. We're gonna have a try catch block, and a try what we're gonna call console.log. MCP side is running, and then we're gonna console the error. Then we're also just gonna undo our errors right here. Or we can make this a more detailed error. I'm working with TypeScript, so to be good if you are typing everything as you're going. Maybe this can have its own, and then we can have yes. AI is just helping me write some of the code, so that's good. So this is, and my package is in the default is build.index.js. Also build is index.js here. So anytime we run npm build, it's going to turn our TypeScript into JavaScript and create a build folder for us and put it there. All right, so that's what we have right now. Let's test this out. I'm gonna do this and probably gonna see our first error for the stream. So we're gonna do npm run build. Okay, no errors. And then you see we have a build folder now. So this is just TypeScript version of our code. So it's basically the same thing, but in TypeScript, and a little bit of like it removed all the spaces and everything, just made it less verbose, right? So you see all the spaces, just cleared out everything, and then you don't even see Zod. Why? Because we don't have Zod imported anywhere. So it kind of like just created a smaller package for us. So now once we have this, inside main is where we're going to probably write everything. I will not do an elaborate setup. I'm just going to put everything inside main so that we can have this as a concise project. So inside a try catch block, you want to create a new transport. Remember the transport we pulled in here. You want to create a new transport. So I'm just going to do. And yeah, one thing I also want to tell you that you cannot use console.log inside any part of your code for the MCP. if you console.log, you will actually stop the server, because the way the server works is they listen to input and output streams, and that is console is also using that particular stream. So every time you console.log is going to affect the server. So the way we do it is using console error, and even though it's error that you're seeing here, it's actually going to be counted as error when you're doing it, but it's a way of logging as well. It will not affect any part of your flow, but don't use console.log. It's gonna affect your MCP server. So just use console error. Now we're going to create a new instance of the transport. So I'm going to do const transport equals to new SSD server. And then we're going to, we don't have to pass this in here. I'm going to save this, clean up all the stuff that we have, and maybe even clean up that we don't have any of those stuff again. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to also undo errors. But before we do that, we have to just await the server start. And what is happening here is, oh, sorry, server connect, not start. And everything is inside the docs, by the way. So server connect. So we're creating a transport, and then we're using that transport. We're saying the server should connect over that transport. This could be SSC as well. If you do comma, you can see we have more. I like to do this. I think SSE, yes, studio server transport is what we have right now. There's the server SSE transport as well, but we're not going to use any of that because the most common one is the one we're using as well. So we now have the transport equals to new STDO server transport. And we also use the server to connect via the transport. We can handle a couple errors because you want to do a lot of error management. So I can say, just let AI work with me on this. Or I can copy a few things in. I'm copying a few things in because I don't want to waste more time on just typing up extra stuff. So there's an error somewhere, and that's because we have a catch block again. So I'm just gonna remove that and format my code nicely. So what we're doing is, of course, this should be tiny URL as well. So we're saying when you have this on this event or this process, shut down the MCP server. Also, when you have this particular process, shut down the MCP server, close it, right? These are important things to handle, right? And then once we do this, we are kind of done with the first part of this, and then we can start writing our tools. So the way I like to do it is I like to write the tools in a separate folder, so I can import it and everything looks clean, and then I can register it here. So let's do this. I'm going to go take out this Zod because we're not using it anywhere here. And I'm going to create a new folder inside CLC and call it tools. And inside I'm going to call one. So let's see what we are trying to do. Let's work with the create a new tiny URL. We're going to work with this. I think that's the only one that we're going to do for this stream. All right. So this is an API endpoint called tiny URL, create tiny URL. I'm going to find it, see what output we get, and then we can use that. So it takes a long URL and shortens into a new tiny URL. I'm going to copy this description, and then we see the endpoint is /create. If you want to work with APIs, you can also install Axios so that it's easier for you to work with. So I'm just going to do npm install Axios. You can actually just do it with fetch. Probably should use fetch, so we don't have any other dependency. So let's just do this. Inside, I'm going to create a new folder called. I'm going to create a new file called create URL. .ts. I'm not sure I want to have this. I'm going to just do camel case. I'm gonna paste this, take a long URL, just comment it out for now. We're gonna use it very soon. So, and then it takes in no parameters, but the request body needs to look like this. I'm gonna also copy this, take it inside here, and paste it. Also comment it out for now, and call this params. Comment it out, and then also the response is also good, so that we can see what type of response we should be expecting. If you're not authorized, you're gonna get errors as well. But let's say everything works out. This is the type of response you're gonna get. So I'm just gonna copy this. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, it's quite important that you type things in the MCP server, because see, AI is idea me to understand what's going on. So this is the URL. So when we go to /create, we need to pass it this information, and it's going to give us an output like this. And the tiny URL is the one that is in tiny URL here. So this is going to be the link that should be shown to the user. Every other one doesn't seem important, right? So we don't even need to worry about them. We just need to worry about this tiny URL. So let's just continue. And how do you pass in the header? Let's see. Try it out. So you need to pass in accept header, authorization header, so that you can be able to use it. So I'm just going to do that. It's probably standard process in most API fetch now. So let's go on. So what you want to do is create the tool that gets that fetches. Just give me a second. All right. So the way you do that is, remember the tool that we kind of like, this tool here, this server here. We're going to export it so that we can import it here. So we're gonna do just gonna put everything down. So I want to work on top here. I'm gonna do import from index.js, right? We're going to import that server, and then we're going to use that server to create a new tool. So I'm going to do server.tool. I'm going to pass in a couple stuff. Oh, so it's already helping me to create. Okay, this is good. So AI has given me like a bunch of the boilerplate already. So this is the name that the tool is going to be here. This is the accurate description of when the tool is going to be used or what the tool is for. And it's very important that this is very, very precise and concise, so that this tool only gets called at the right time for the right reasons. This will determine if your tool is going to be very good or not. So pay attention to its description. And then this is the function that gets run whenever this is called. So I'm just going to see if I can format this a little bit nicely. And then I'm going to just close this. Don't need it anymore. Yes, remember this guy here. We don't need it here. We actually just need it over here. And then the tool is there. Server.tool. Okay. There seems to be an issue. Oh yeah, there's an overload. So which means that we are, number one, not even passing the correct things. So I'm gonna just do a comma because we need to pass in the schema. So I'm gonna call this the create URL schema. And this is where Zod comes in. So I'm just gonna do the Zod object. And I'm gonna import Zod from Zod. But this is not how you write it. You write it like an object itself, not with Zod.object. And It's still giving me an error. This should not be any. We can pass in the params here. This is the object, and then we can deploy that here. So the server.2 needs to, the function that you're calling server.2 needs to return a specific type of object. And let me just show you where you can find that. So if you go to model context protocol and you go to server developer and you go to tools, let's see tools. Where's tools? Am I still live? Let me check that. Okay, I'm still here. If you go to tools, you'll be able to see the output type. Where should I saw that in somewhere. Okay, I can't find it anymore, but I know it's somewhere. Okay, I can't find it now, but the idea is all your server needs to return a particular shape. So the way the shape is like is we're gonna take this off, and we're gonna do an object. We're gonna pass in content, and then also that is gonna be an array of objects. And inside the object, we're gonna put type, whatever type it is, you're gonna pass it. So if you have different types, you can do comma, you can pass it a new type. So there are different type of type. There's text, there's resource, right? If it's a resource you're returning, there's URI. If it's whatever URI you're returning, there's sampling or whatever it is. So for our use case, we're just going to pass in the type of text, and then we're also going to pass in the URL. So create a new tiny URL response.data.tiny URL. So what this means is when our server tool function is called, we're going to run this async function that passes params, and it's going to pass all this information directly into so we're taking out the params, and the params is validated using the schema. That's why I needed to bring this here. So you see we're getting the URL, the domain, the alias, the tags, expires, our description. I did that so that AI will be able to know how to understand the params. So you see URL, domain, alias, URL, domain, alias, tags, expires, description, tags, expires, description. It typed them properly. And if you go to the tiny URL documentation, we can see that these are all, I don't think any of them is optional. This is the response field. Let me see the request body. Just cancel this so we can see them well. Okay, none of them is optional. I don't even know if you can tell from there. You can't tell. So it's a post request, by the way. So it takes a, okay, I'm just gonna copy this description, even though I already copied it. And I can paste it directly inside here. Right? For some reason, this is giving me a okay, let's just see what the issue will be. So we're fetching, we're bringing out all this stuff from inside the params, the string, and it's being validated using the schema, by the way, in case you don't know. And then we are piping that into the function given it as a JSON.stringify. So why am I getting this issue? So let me just see what the documentation says again. So it's doing response.data .tiny URL. So data is on this or this is this. No, it's on the same level. This is a wider object. This is a wider object. Data. Okay, data tiny URL. Okay, that's okay. This should be right. This should be wrong. This should be correct. Okay, response data does not exist on type response. Okay. And the reason that is happening is because we are not awaiting the JSON. So we're gonna do await response .json. And then we're gonna do .data. Probably should break this up. Yeah. I don't like this. This doesn't look like a good name. So I'm just gonna do response again. Response data. Whatever that is. Yeah, so this should work now. So okay, save this. Everything seems to be good. I'm getting our process.env, so everything's working well. But this is not the right URL to call, so this is very wrong. Let's see what the correct URL is. There is no v4. There's just primary, and there is just /create. Let me see it properly from my own end. Yep. So just call /create and we're good. So this is wrong. I'm gonna call /create. So that is everything. Once we have this, we can create a new one. So we're just passing it this tiny URL. We don't care about every other thing, I guess. If we want to care about every other thing, since we're passing text, we need to turn it into text. So we'll probably need to JSON stringify or do whatever. But we don't care about them. But if we want to do it, we can either just do something like this. So just gonna do Ctrl X and just do JSON, or instead of response data, just gonna response data, and that's gonna do null too. And because we need to exactly pass in text to this thing, so we need to JSON stringify it, turning it into string. If not, it's gonna fail. You definitely need to pass in whatever you're passing. So if it's text that is here, passing text. If it's resource, you need to pass in a URI. So when we have this, I think at this point we can delete every other thing here. Can take out every other thing here. Also, another thing to mention is the schema is very important. This is where you can describe what the URL, what this the option looks like. So if there is a place where they kind of explain what I don't know if they provide documentation. Let me see if they provide like a docs for tiny. Okay, I can provide this as a description for the function. The more context you can clearly provide, the better. So none of this is a description of what the input looks like. There's no docs, there's just API thing. That's all. All right, let's just see it and let's just follow our intuition and just test it. So this would be a good thing to also add, is to just describe the young registration thing. I like to add descriptions so that it also helps with context, and you can turn this into a template string, so you can have it on multiple lines. And I like to do this. and just say okay. So this is what I like to do. This it just helps me with context and just make sure you're getting the right thing done. And uh, then these are short links that redirect to longer link. The set by endpoints. This to allow you to shorten your links and modify the function in links. So I like to provide this kind of description. It just helps with just makes it clearer for me to, as much as possible, you want to provide the best context you can give. So you see what I did? I gave it the schema. I created the schema, and I passed the schema into. So the first thing is to create. So instead of this, I just kind of do. I like to put the name of the MCP in front. So tiny URL create URL. I like to do this. Number one, so that you can know which tool is being called. Number two, it's just clearer because sometimes the name are kind of like the names of the project or names of the product are kind of like descriptions as well. So take a long URL and shorten to it. So this is how we're described. This is the name of the tool. This is the description of the tool. I like to do this longer one so that it has all the things that it needs. I just like to do it better this way. And then the create URL schema, and this is the schema that this is the schema that the LLM is going to use to understand what type of parameter this is expecting. So you see how everything here is fetched out here and there's no error, right? If I do K here, it's an issue. Why? Because there's no K here. But you see where I put K here, it's noticed. So that is how it's been designed. Types basically, schema and types. So this is inferring the types from the schema. And then we can use that inside. So fetching it, extracting it from here, and then we are using it to create function, and then we are using a proper bearer, whatever. And this should work. I'm just gonna take out response data from here because I don't think. I'm just gonna do. Yeah, response data is fine. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Can I do this? Nah, it's just. Let's just like this. Remember, I said that we need to return the exact thing. So once we have the server tool done, we need to wrap it in a function. So I like to do something like export const register create URL tool, and I wrap everything inside that function. Right? Why I do this is so that when I export it, I can go to my tool. I can come into the index, import it here. By the way, I can take out all this and then import the register tool. And next thing to before calling the main, I need to I call this register the tool. So what we did here is we wrote the tool inside the create URL.ts folder and the file, and then we're importing it inside the space. By the way, this is not gonna be. And now we can test this now. So we have our basic server up and going. Everything seems to be good. Let me check this side again. Okay. Our name, our description, the function across the everything seems to be good. Are we outputting it correctly? Yes, we are. All right, that's good. Okay. Yeah, that's everything. So how do we test this? Well, there are different ways you can test an MCP server. one of the ways to test it is by using the MCP inspector. This is the inspector. You go to inspector, you can see it here. So the inspector is by, if you run the npxy whatever inspector, it's going to import the MCP inspector and use them. So all we're going to do is we're going to copy this, open, I think I have my, open the terminal. We almost installed Anxio, so I'm going to clear this. I'm going to paste this. I'm going to do node. I'm going to do, okay, this is not correct. I'm going to go part to index.js. So I'm going to do slash, it's currently in the right part. I'm going to do slash build index.js. Then we can remove this in args. So essentially what's happening is we're initializing the inspector. This is not going to install it. This is going to run it while we are using it. So that's why we're using npx, right? That's why we're using npx. And we're also going to give it the command and then the argument. So this is why we're pointing it directly to the build folder. So if I run this now, this should actually work, but it might fail because we've not built our project. Let's just see it and see what happens. So you see that proxy server is listening on port 6277. I don't want to do anything because that is not what we want to do. I'm going to copy that and add it to package.json so that I can easily access it. So I'm going to just come and say, I want something like dev. And instead of this, I'm just going to add this. So every time I run npms run dev, I can start a server like that. It's easier for me to do that rather than finding the command every single time. So once we have that, the next process is to what is the next process? We need to build the project. So let's just do ntl. I'm using no task list. So in case you're not having it in your PC, just run npm run build, for example. I'm just going to run build, and that will be the project. And next I can now run the dev and have the server start up. So the server starting up on where we can open this in our browser, and we should have the MCP inspector. Right now, it's not connected. That's why you have the disconnected, right? Before we connect it, let us add our environment variable. So remember, we copied the environment variable from. So the same thing, we're going to copy this and also copy this. Want to create a new one, paste this here, and then also paste this here, and click on. And once we have this, we're good. And click on connect. So if everything works, we should have our MCP server is running. So you can see tiny URL MCP is running. It means that everything is good. And to test this out, we can list all the tools. So you see right now only tools is activated because that's the only thing that we have set up. There's now ping, but ping just pings your, see, it's receiving a message from the server and everything. Doesn't do anything, just calls ping and just pings it the way you have pings in normal network. So in tools, I can just click on list tools, and it's going to list all the tools that is available in your project. So right now we only have a tiny URL, create URL, whatever, and it is also passing the input schema. So it's knowing that it's an object, properties, you see, and also you see what all the thing that is passing. This is why it's important that your schema is right, because you see it knows that is a URL and the description is the long URL to shorten. And if you notice, that is exactly what we have in the, see. So all these things has been passed to the AI. So you definitely need to get this right. Everything description needs to be on point, right? Everything is required. can see that it's marking, okay, is it required? Is it optional? Right? Input schema is an object, the properties of the object, this and this and this and this description. See how everything is being spelled out. So let's just take this one and pass it a couple of things. So I can say, let's say I want to shorten. I'm not shorten this link. I'm gonna copy this, go to my MCP inspector, paste it here. The domain to use for the URL, I can leave that. Oh, by the way, let's just even do this. Let's just copy the example they gave us in the docs. So let's just do tinyurl.com. The alias used for the tiny URL. Let's see what they use for this one. I can just paste this here too. Willie MCP demo. Let's just see what happens. The tags, example link. Expires at. One thing that we're going to do very soon is we're going to use all the examples here to give it like we're gonna do 2026 here just to make sure future proof for 2025 and it's not back as a demo. And if I run this, if it fails, it fails. Well, it did not fail, but we're not exactly is it error. Tags usage is forbidden. Using expiration date is restricted. Okay, so let's take this out. Let's see if it's gonna work without any of this stuff. Because they did not tell us if it's optional or not, so we don't know. All right, it seems it works. All right, it worked. So now we have the tiny URL and everything is good. So definitely you can see that expires at and tags are optional, right? We can even take them out of the MCP totally so that they don't conflict. So I'm going to take out the tags, by the way. Tags going, expires at going, and for the description, alias, no. So see why it's very important for your description to be right. Let me just leave it like this. So we need to come back here to take them out. And then also come out here, take them out, save this. I can end this. I can end this and build it again. I can end this, build it, and also start the server again. And then I can go back to my inspector and then just list the tools, clear this, list the tools again, and pick this. You see that you can see that the ones we removed are now gone. I can give it the same example. This guy, tinyurl.com, alias to use, just give a random value. Also test. Okay, see it works. It works once again and it's giving that value at the end. So this is what we want as the shortened link. So you can see that the domain here seems to be tinyurl.com, right? It's very important that this is it. So we can make sure that it's always enforced by either putting it directly in the URL or telling the AI to always use this. So I can do that in my MCP by going here and saying alias should determine your default. So just to make sure that the AI knows that this is an acceptable value, I'm passing it in. So the domain to use for the tiny URL, the unique domain to use for the tiny URL. No, the domain for the URL is not unique. It's the alias that should be unique. Okay, so that's it. That should be it. I think everything should work now. Everything should work. Right? That should be all. We have everything running. So we can deploy this and it's so crazy how this changed from being Luma MCP to tiny URL MCP. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I've been speaking a lot today. I'm so tired. I'm so stressed out. I'm burnt out. But we have to deliver this. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So everything works. So we can wrap this up and push it up to and deliver it. Also, I'm going to show you how you can add it to Smidry. Or maybe I should not. Anyways, I can just let you guys do that so you can contribute that. All right. So now we have our MCP server. Let's see if we can use this inside Cursor directly inside here. So how it works with that is that I can open up my this stuff and click on the gear icon here. See this icon, then go to MCP. I have a bunch of MCP server connected here. You see, this is Paystack MCP I did. It's running inside Docker. That's why it is activated. This one is running inside Smidry. I can refresh this. Should kick it all back again. MCP servers tend to close connection, especially if you are running on the server side events transport. But this other one seems to be good. See, green is good, green is good. Red, something is definitely wrong. So you can click on refresh to kick it all back if you need to kick it all back into shape. But I have one of them running inside Docker, so you can see that the one inside Docker seems to be good. But you see, this one is back to life. I've been able to wake it up. But this one is running on my machine, so it's running, so it's good. I can close it if I want to. And I can close it if I want to as well. Then I can add a new global server. I should probably not show this folder, right? It's very important that you keep things private there. How do I do this now? Okay, just take it to the end. Let's add a new server here. So I'm gonna just click on this. Okay, no, maybe inside this folder. We're gonna add the tiny MCP server. So the way you add this, that if you go to the end or wherever you want to, you can add the tiny MCP server MPX, right? And then you want to add the link to. You want to add the one of your arguments. So the command is gonna be node. The argument is gonna be the full path to the build. So how do you get that? If you close this and do pwd and you can copy this and put it in front of that. So that'll be /users core developer willy build index.js. Very important that this is a complete absolute path. So you see what I did right here. So I did pwd, copy this, and add it to the front of this. So once you do that, the next thing is to pass in the argument. You can go here and do env, and then once you do env, you can have this environment variable section that you can pass in the environment variable. So I'm just going to go into my environment variable, showing you all this stuff. I hope I do remember to take them off after the stream. I'm going to close this. I'm going to do this. Sorry. I am going to save this. And if I open my color settings, I should probably see the MCP server now activated. And you can see that we even have the tiny URL create tool right there inside my MCP server. So that's a good thing. And if you see, we now have you can see the description. Everything that we added in that description is what's showing. It takes a long URL and shorten it into a new tiny URL. Tiny URLs are short links that, so you can see how that really helps. I think I forgot to do something. I forgot to delete the description of the alias and stuff. So let me just go here. And remember, we're not passing in the tags again, and the expires at no longer passing that in. So let's just take that out. And also remember that we're also doing like the domain is defaulting to this. So just to make sure we include those information directly there. So just to save that, and I can do build, and I can do dev, so everything kicks back up. And if I go to it's gonna start running and everything seems good. I can refresh this. I see we see Abby there. That's why it was super important that you make this an absolute part. So now we can test this. If I open my control I and run my agent and say something like shorten this, shorten so we're gonna wait to see if it's gonna call the link. Okay. Okay, so you see what it did is it knows that it has access to the tiny URL, create URL tool. So if you see it thought about for a second. The user wants me to shorten the URL using the tiny URL service. I never said it should use tiny URL service, but you can see that it recognizes that the tool is available. Based on the attached file, I can see that there is a tool available. I can see that there's a tool available called tiny URL create URL that can shorten URL using the tiny URL API. So see what it also recognizes. So looking at the tool's requirements, I need to provide a URL that is the long URL to shorten. See, everything that we added is very important here. So you see this. It also, the domain to use for the tiny URL, that is also going to use this. And also an alias, a unique alias for the tiny URL. I can choose something descriptive like good versus great animations. So you see how it understands what's going on. And then a description for the tiny URL. I will use article about animation tips for UIs. Well, then I'll use the MCP tiny URL create function to do this. So if I allow you to run this tool, it's going to pass in all those functions. Can you see? Can you see what it did? It passing the long URL, passing the domain, passing the alias, and passing the description. And then if I end this, you can see this is the link that it gave us. And if I copy this and go to my browser and put the URL there, you can see it's going to redirect me to there. So this is what we built with. This was fun. Honestly, I think this is good. So yeah, now let's deploy this to GitHub and Smidery. So I'm just going to create a new GitHub. I'm going to call it tiny URL MCP. This was supposed to be Luma MCP, but the way things change is crazy. Tiny URL MCP. I'm going to call it public. I'm just going to leave it like this. So everything seems to be working. We can close this now. I'm just going to make this a little bit shorter so I can see what I'm doing. Close the server. I'm going to deploy this and wrap up the stream. So we're going to create a git ignore file so we can pull in the env, node modules, and the build folder too as well. Let me just make sure that these are all properly done. And I'm gonna CP maybe it's so I'm going to remove. I'm also going to initialize the kitty there so everything looks appropriate. So what exactly am I now? Okay. Okay. All right, everything looks good. So I'm just gonna clear this, and then I'm gonna get in. I'm going to add everything. I like to see what I'm doing. Okay, everything looks good. Next, I'm going to do is commit this. Okay, so I'm gonna commit this, and then I'm gonna push this. So next thing to do is just to copy this. I'm gonna paste this here, and that should push it to GitHub. Yep, that is live for the stream. So we're gonna just copy this link and paste it in the chat, just in case anybody wants to kind of make a contribution to the report. You will be able to do that. All right. And there you have the new MCP server for tiny URL MCP server. Also, yeah. You see? Okay. Thanks so much for seeing the stream. I'm not sure I had so many people on this one. I really need to go back to Twitter now and understand why they really messed this up for me. But it's nice that I had some people around. I think I had I had some good number of people around. So that's a good one. All right. Thanks so much for sticking around. I would see you in the next stream. See, my eyes are red. Ciao.